12 years ago, I had my second son, and in childbirth, it was a very traumatic childbirth, and he acquired a brain injury in childbirth, and I also acquired a very severe injury. So I had a 3rd-degree tear, and I had a couple of surgeries within the first few months of him being born for reconstruction, and I was completely incontinent for a number of months. I had to self-catheterise, and I was told that because the ligaments in my pelvic floor were so overstretched for such a long period of time, and also from the tearing in the muscles, that those ligaments wouldn't ever heal. I would always, basically have issues with very poor pelvic floor use, muscles and the like, so I would never be able, I would just have to live with that. As a result, over the years, I've had what's called urge incontinence, so with both bladder and bowel. So I would get the urge to need to go to the toilet, and if there wasn't, and it would come on like that, and if there wasn't a bathroom really close or nearby, I'd have to try extremely hard to hold it all in, or get there really, really quickly, which made life a bit difficult at times, and I would have a number of accidents, which is very undignifying. The other thing as a side effect was I had chronic urinary tract infections. So it was just a cycle. They would just come on, and usually I would go on antibiotics that would go away. I had to really take a lot of personal care with my hygiene, and I did, but it would just do that. So what happened for me was that I had a urinary tract infection within a couple of days of starting the event, and I thought to myself, this is going to just escalate as it has done in the past. I'm probably going to have to go and find a doctor and get antibiotics, because in a couple of days I'm going to be in a lot of pain. The second walking meditation we did on the beach, my urinary tract infection went away. I was walking down the beach and I just saw those lower 3 centres, and I decided that that part of me is just going to be left behind. When I got back from the walking meditation, I went to the bathroom, and having a UTI is very painful when you need to go to the toilet, and it was gone. It just wasn't there. So I believed that it was gone, but I needed more evidence. So later in the day, again, going to the bathroom, it was completely gone. So I was convinced that it's gone, it's healed. So then my healing was incredible, and the end result of the healing is that I have a completely renewed pelvic floor, and I have full use of my pelvic floor muscles. I can contract at my perineum, because in my meditations I've been visualizing that part of my body because I just couldn't pull up, and I had instant full use and contractions of that area. My physical experience of the healing was very emotional when I walked into the room. It was very moving to know that there was going to be so much love directed at me. And I could feel the energy coming from outside before any of the healers arrived. And the energy started in my fingertips and in my toes, moved up my arms, up my legs. And my body was moving quite a bit, and I understood now what it was like to have energy moving through you, and involuntary movements were happening. I had many images in my mind's eye, and my son, who's now 12, from that birth injury, came to me and told me it's time. His body in that imagery was strong and healthy, and he said to me that this is how I see myself, Mum, and I want you to now see yourself in that way and know that there is divine healing and love for you, and you haven't seen it yet, and now it's time. And in that moment I could see the healers standing around me on this kind of like cliff where I was, and the love pouring from their heart. The moment when I was in hospital, when my son was born, I was taken to emergency, And I laid there quite in shock, and there was a circle of emergency staff standing around me, and just laying there, it was kind of surreal, and the lights above. And I looked up and I just saw these human forms standing around me. That's my memory of that moment, and I was in a lot of pain and all sorts of things, and they were there to fix me. When the healers came in, the energy was absolutely incredible. The love I felt is like nothing that I've ever felt in my life. And I half opened my eyes and I could just see these people standing around me, and it was like my story had come full circle. And here were these people to heal me, and this time it was with love. And it was for my son and with my son. And it was just absolutely divine. When it was over, I sat up and I just needed to tell each and every person how beautiful that they were, and that they are full of light. And I just felt like I touched that divinity. I was touched by God. God was in me. There was just love. And I thought to myself, oh, when the energy came up my legs and my arms, I felt it so incredibly, but there was this almost a void or a nothingness all in this region, sort of just around this part of my body where my injury was. And what that means, I don't know, but I noticed that. I noticed there was just this vortex or this nothingness here, yet the energy was everywhere else in my body. And when it was over, and I just had to tell them all that they were so special and filled with love. And I tested squeezing my muscles, and I could. And I tried it again, and I could. And when I got up and I stood up, and I could lift my pelvic floor and hold it and lift it more and hold it. And I haven't been able to do that in 12 years. Then in the meditation this morning, the 4-hour one, I was able to not have the urge to need to go to the toilet. And at the end, I needed to go to the bathroom. My bladder was full, but it was just like, that's cool, I'll just hold on. And I did. And it's life-changing for me, because for me, my belief was that to have such a condition was something that an old woman would get if over time, and to be told that this is going to be the way it is forever and get worse. I just wanted so much to have the opportunity to be healed, and I believed that I could be healed. And the surrender exercise was my gift to myself, to be able to be open, because there was a sweet spot in that exercise of falling back, and just after I completely fell back and just before I hit the net, there was that sweet spot of complete surrender. And I kept coming back to that surrender when I laid down for my healing, and I believe that that's what allowed me to completely open and to let go and let that love pour onto me and through me and do what it did. And that was 2 days ago. My body feels like it hasn't felt in 20 years. It's just, I feel like I've just had this upgrade, and I can now function with dignity and leave that part of my past behind me.